Hello, everyone. This is Jennifer Hellman, and this is Air Radio, Abstract Illusions Radio. And today we are talking to Dr. Adam Sheck, and he is a psychologist who happened to also be an engineer, and now he wants to help you find your mission and own it. He is he's got great information on relationships on his website, and I welcome. And why don't you give all your websites right now, Adam, because you have a few.
Hey, Jennifer. It's great to be here, and I'm happy to toot my own horn a little. I do. The website that is my latest that I'm the proudest of right now is it's www.ownyourmission.com, and we're going to talk about that today, about mission, about life purpose, about what we're doing on the planet. So ownyourmission.com. Also, I've been as a psychologist for the last 20 years. I've been working with couples and singles as well, but really about passion, bringing the passion back into relationships. So I blog about that at www.thepassiondoctor.com, thepassiondoctor, DOCTOR.com. And then finally, as I'm in the second half of life now, I've really been drawn to working with men, or men have been drawn to working with me. My counseling practice has typically been more female, but the last 4 or 5 years it's really shifted to be more men, and we need all the help we can get, so I'm proud to be able to be of service there. So I've started a website as well where I blog about the issues of men in the second half of life, and that's at www.menafter50.com. Either FIFTY or the number 50, it all works. So that's the boring part of it there. Anyone's welcome to check all of that out, and I'll talk more about what you might benefit from that. But how are you doing this morning? You've been working already.
Oh, I've been working since 1:30 this morning.
It's a long day.
It's a beautiful day and a long day. But, if you love what you're doing, you don't care. And I do love what I do.
Well, that's the work I do with people now, too, is connecting them to their passion, to their mission, to their purpose, so they can love it and do it.
And so what got you going in this direction, with going in helping people find their passion, their mission? What was it that you said, wow, there really is a need for this?
Well, I think it really, I started to just look inward and see what's my path, what have I been doing, what have I learned, and what can I teach from what I've learned, because I really believe we all are teachers as well as students. And I've been following my life purpose, my mission for so long, and it didn't start that way. Before I became a psychologist in my early 30s, I was an engineer. I started off as an engineer, and I was a very unhappy engineer. I got into it, believe it or not, when I was 5, just because I had a cousin who was older than I was, and he was riding submarines in Spain as an engineer, and that seemed like a really cool thing to do. It's like riding submarines, being in different countries. It seemed like a great thing to do, so I applied myself and became an engineer, and discovered that while I could do it, I was good at it, I had no passion, I had no joie de vivre, I had no juice behind it. And it took me probably 10 years of living that life to realize first that I had a choice, and then to do enough work on myself through workshops, through therapy and counseling, through spiritual practices, through all of it, to just discover who I was, and really launched into that path as a psychologist in my early 30s. And that calling got clearer and clearer. I became a psychologist. I started working a lot with couples. I think we all teach what we need to learn, so about relationships was so important to me. So I really helped them to work and did what I could to help people who were committed in their relationship and yet lost the spark, lost the passion, lost the romance, and really helping them get back to that. So I worked with that. I learned more about spirituality, which wasn't really a strong topic in my childhood. So I think I really had a crisis of spirituality, a dark night of the soul in my early 40s, and really turned to spirit, universe, whatever we want to call it, to really see that there was something bigger than me. I was on this planet for a purpose, for a mission. So it's really, everything is taking me to this place of wanting to help other people, because I'm walking the talk. I can do this with authenticity because I am doing it. I was in a career that I didn't like. I felt like I was in golden handcuffs because I got paid a lot of money to do something I didn't like, and I think many people are in that position now, or in the position of not even having a job, not even having a career. So I want to help people in that place.
So
I'll take a breath now because I've been talking.
Well, I have a question. What kind of engineer? Because electrical, mechanical, civil?
I was an electrical engineer. I started in that and computer science as well, back when computers were these really big things that took rooms and used punch cards. So it's come a long way.
Right. Yes. My ex-husband was an electrical engineer that went on to get his optical engineering master's. So I'm familiar with electrical engineering. And you do have to have, he did have a passion, and he was brilliant. He ended up having 16 patents to his name through his work. So
good for him.
He definitely had a passion for it. But what did you take? For me, I've looked through my life, and every job that I've had has led me to the next step. But I know a skill that I got from the former is helping me in this one. So what from engineering did you get to help you, other than the fact that you knew you didn't like being an engineer? Was there any other skill that is helping you in today with owning your passion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's, if we don't learn from that and take the skill set, then we feel bad about it because we've wasted years of our life. So, absolutely, it's interesting because the engineering, in some ways, is more left brain, more of that analytical, logical piece, and I'm really good at that. It's important, especially to create a system of helping people, to help more than one person at a time, to create, a system. To have that analytic type mind, to be able to break things down into pieces and make sense of them. And yet at the same time, engineers are problem solvers. They're there to create solutions. So I think those parts, I'm used to doing that, and I'm pretty dogged and determined in coming up with the answers. Some answers need more patience and need to unfold, of course, and that's the right side of the brain that I've cultivated over the last 25 years as a psychologist. So I think both parts are important, but as an engineer, just the discipline of it, just the ability to see the overall picture, to see the system, because nothing happens in a vacuum. Your life is connected to so many people, and so many people are connected to you, and it's all an interactive system that I do this because you do that, because I do this, and it's a relationship.
So, with this new program, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Sure. Well, I think probably I should explain what I mean mission, and then people can make some sense of it. Because the program really draws on mission, and mission to me is really about connecting to your life purpose for your raison d'etre, which I'm terrible at French, so forgive my pronunciation, but it's why are we on the planet? We're here for some kind of calling. It's really that existential question we all face at some point in our life. What's the meaning of our life? And, coming up with the answer to that. Because whatever it is, it's not in a vacuum. It happens in a context, in a community, on a planet. So for me, mission really has 4 components, and I think they all need to take place. They all need to be activated. And the first are our gifts and talents. It's like your husband was is a gifted engineer, so using those gifts is the first part. We need to take the gifts and talents. We need to take our values, what we think are important in our lives, whether values are our ethics, our morals, our priorities. That I'll leave up to the philosophers and the semantic people. But you need gifts and talents. You need to figure out your values. You need to know your passion. And all of these are tied in. It's not linear. If I'm connected to my gifts, I'm maybe connected to my passion. If I'm connected to my passion, I'm connected to my gifts. And then finally, your calling, your contribution on the planet, what you're doing here. Because I firmly believe from a a spiritual perspective. We're here more than just to, do our own little lives and meet our own simple needs or complex needs. We're here to contribute to others. We're here to interact with others, and all of us together really are going to make the changes to have this world be a better place. Mother Teresa had this great quote, which I'll probably mangle, but let me think. It's something like, I can do things you can't do, and you can do things I can't do, and together we can all do great things.
Exactly.
It's really that. Yeah, we can do great things together. So for mission, all four of those things need to be firing together. Because if your talents aren't consistent with your values, which was true for me as an engineer, it didn't work. I couldn't be as successful as I could, or I couldn't be as passionate. And if I'm not passionate about doing the work, then I'm not going to have the fuel to move on in that. And if it's all self-absorbed, self-centered, at some point, it's going to be unsatisfying to me. So all four need to be there. And when you know your mission, when you're clear about what it is and you're living it each day, that's what I call owning your mission. And that's the program I'm putting together, is Own Your Mission.
Okay, so I have a question for you to
Sure.
give a little bit more definition. What's the difference between a gift and a talent?
Well, some of it's perspective and some of it's, I think, a gift are these normal, natural predispositions that we have. Someone may be a gifted musician. Some may be a prodigy. We have predispositions that we may be good at doing something. In terms of that, talent sometimes is connected with gift. I think talent also is involved in skill sets. So I can cultivate a talent. I can deepen it. I may be, a musical person, but if I don't cultivate it, if I don't take piano lessons or learn that there's such a thing as a piano, I will not blossom. That gift won't explode into the talent that's there. Make sense?
It's kind of like my writing. If I don't write, I'm not going to expand and improve my writing. If it's just
yes.
And that goes for any gifts or talents. So how would you define passion then?
Passion is, I think it's individual for each person, but it's that thing that you connect to, that you think of or live or breathe, that lights you up, that expands your body. It's like when we first were talking for a minute or two before we went on air, I could feel my excitement, I could feel my passion, because connecting with people, talking with you, sharing my mission, I'm passionate about that. So it's a body feeling. It's not something you're going to intellectually say, I'm very passionate about this. It's not a robotic thing. It's something that just gets the adrenaline flowing. That gets the endorphins shooting into the body. So that's what I would call passion. That's how you know it's there. Your body clicks. It kind of drops into place. And a body knowing is very important in this work as well, because we can tell ourselves things in our mind. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should get the save for a rainy day and get the career job that's going to last a while. Not that that happens much anymore. So it's our mind versus our body, and the body has so much more wisdom.
It definitely, and the mind gets in the way of the body, spirit, mind. I mean, it's like a lot of times the big obstacle you have to get over is the mind saying, no, you can't do that. What do you mean? And it's all the programming that you've had in the past that tends to get in your way. The other thing for me with passion, everything falls in place. It just, things flow when you find your passion. It's like when I'm writing, it flows out of me. It's like, it's not even me. It's like, it just is there. And there's been many times that I've looked at what I've written and go, wow, who wrote that? Because it just was so incredible an experience. So when you find have you ever thought of or found anybody that had this deep passion? Or is this part of the conflict? They have a passion, but they have a value system that kind of conflicts with that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because again, passion, what we're passionate about, can be fueled by many things. It can be fueled by our natural gifts. It can be fueled by our belief systems. And if I'm passionate about something, and I was raised in an environment that says, no, you can't do that. Let's say you were raised, I'll use a simple example. You were raised in a very conservative fashion, that you really, keep a low profile, you stay below the radar, don't go out and do things, and you decide, I want to be an entertainer. Well, being an entertainer is probably going to be antithetical to how you were raised. Now I'm in the public. Now I'm exposing myself, hopefully not literally, but that happens too with entertainers.
Yeah.
I'm doing things that may not be part of my value, and yet I want to perform. I want to show my gifts to the public. So it creates the conflict, because many of our beliefs are not ours. They're more hand-me-downs from the environment we grew up in, from our caregivers, our parents, from our parents' parents, through the generations on what we should believe, what we should do. We don't even know why we believe certain things. And part of the work of becoming more conscious, of becoming more mature, is to really examine our beliefs and our values and renegotiate them. It's like, okay, these beliefs were here. Do they still serve me? Are they consistent with who I am? Are they consistent with who I want to be and how I want to express myself? And that's really a big chunk of the work. Once that's the part of blocks. It's for owning your mission, your life purpose. Part of it is getting the clarity of what it is and how it works. The other part is, how do you live it? And living it involves facing the limiting beliefs that we've accrued over time, or the traumas that we have, or the protected pieces, because we all want to feel safe as well in our lives, and being exposed in the public isn't necessarily going to feel safe. It's, when I first started doing interviews on shows like yours, I was more anxious, I'm sure, and more nervous, because I'm exposing myself. I'm sharing myself to the world, and that's a risk. Some people won't like me. Some people won't like the sound of my voice. Some people won't like my message. Some people just won't like my picture. It doesn't matter. It's all these beliefs, and yet until we connect to a little bit of courage and a little bit of faith in ourselves, we won't be able to be who we truly are and live an authentic life.
Now, have you found with your counseling that's been part of the problem within a relationship, that one person has this passion that they want, and in a sense, if you've got a calling, you need to do it. You're not going to be happy unless you feel fulfilled. Have you ever found someone that a partner is so against what their passion is, what their calling is, that it's caused confliction in their relationship?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think in relationships there's so many issues to deal with, and it really comes down to, before we even get into that, why people connect in relationship, why I'm attracted to a certain person, why I choose a certain person in relationship. And from a psychological perspective, we're drawn to people, the old cliche, you marry your mother, you marry your father. We're drawn to people that have qualities of our caregivers. When we're young, we're like sponges. We absorb everything, and our first model of what love looks like, of what connection and commitment looks like, is our caregivers, whether it's our parents or other people in an extended community that raised us, or maternal and paternal figures, teachers, spiritual advisors. We absorb all this, and television and movies tell us what relationships look like. So at some point when I'm living my life and meet someone that has enough of those qualities, the good qualities and the negative qualities are in my psyche now. In Latin, we'd call it the imago, for image of that ideal person. But I'm drawn to that person. It's automatic. It's unconscious. And our work is to bring it to consciousness, because while I'm drawn to the positive qualities, and that's what I'm going to see the most of in the honeymoon stage in a relationship, when my body is firing off all kinds of endorphins and oxytocin, the bonding cuddle drug, and the rest. After that wears down, I'm going to see that the person has some of the negative qualities of my parents and caregivers too. And that's the purpose of relationship, is to work through some of the negativity so that I can heal my wounds of childhood, so that I can be more whole as a human being and share my purpose, share my mission. So I'm probably going to be attracted to someone who may or may not be able to fully support my mission, who may have some strong reservations because of their beliefs, of their values. So yes, that does happen, and it's something that needs to be negotiated. Again, what's the priority? Is the relationship the priority? Is the mission the priority? Is your life the priority? It's, how do you organize that? For some people, it's family first, then career, then health, then whatever. And then you've got spirituality in there too. For some, God first, then family, then career. For some, career first. So it depends, again, how you were raised and put together. My experience is that for men, and again, this is just my experience, I haven't seen a lot of research on it because we don't research male psychology a whole lot, unfortunately. Men are driven by their purpose, by their mission. If they're not feeling valuable in their lives, they're not going to be able to be fully present in their relationships. And that gets to be a problem.
Especially if their partner is against what their mission is. Yes. It really messes with a lot of parts of, I would think, of the men and that conflict.
It puts them in an untenable position. I'm in Los Angeles, so a number of my clientele are in the entertainment industry, and unfortunately, only a small percentage of people seem to make it in that field. Probably true in any field, but it's a small percentage. So I've worked with many couples where one person wants to be an entertainer or an actor or an actress or something of that nature, and now they're in their 40s and they still haven't quite made it, and their partner's been waiting patiently to start a family and do whatever else they want to do for this to happen. And at some point, they need to make a decision. They may need to reprioritize either the mission or the relationship.
Yes, and I can see that being a big obstacle to overcome, to find that compromise. And when one partner has been compromising for the one that wanted to be the entertainer, and she has her own insecurity issues or security issues that she might be dealing with, and then having what she may be thinking, well, I'm doing all the work and here he is just playing, or maybe having that attitude that he really isn't working, quote unquote.
Well, that's certainly one judgment that can be projected onto the partner in the relationship. There's that. There's the, we delayed starting a family. Now it's almost too late, or maybe it is too late, or you need to decide, or grow up and get a job, which is another attitude that gets displaced some of those times. So it can be painful, and not every relationship can navigate it intact.
So when they're doing their program, is it something that they really, if they're in a partnership, if they have a relationship that, like a marriage or a significant other that's been there for a while, if they're going to find and own their mission, is it something that they really should be doing in tangent with a partner? Or does it really just the individual, and then you make the adjustments later?
I think there's no formula. It depends. It depends on how supportive they are or aren't, and the rest. But I think it starts within. I think first they need to be really clear about what their purpose, what their mission is, and that's why I've created the program. I've got, at ownyourmission.com, people can see I've got a free membership there that gives you some basic information on that. But as well, I do monthly coaching calls, group coaching calls for people where they can start to get clearer about their mission and work on their issues. And I also do private sessions by telephone or Skype on that. So is they get the information. I've got a book that really describes everything, and a program that really gives them the steps systematically, as an engineer would, into getting into mission, to being clear about it, and being clear about your values, about your gifts, about your passion, about your purpose, and doing some visualizations and some deeper meditations onto that so that they can get that clarity. I think once you have the clarity, then you can decide, where do I want to go with this? How can I be supported, and what kind of support do I need? It's like Sam Keen, who's written a number of books, again, in men's work, wrote a book, Fire in the Belly, and this is 20, 25 years ago. But he had this great statement he made, which, again, if I was more organized, I'd write these things down. But he said, there's two things a man needs to know, and I think this is true for anyone. It's like, he's got to know where he's going, and he's got to know who he's taking along on the journey. And you have to get the order straight. And to me, I think the order is, you need to know where you're going first. Because how can you tell who can support you and who can't? And again, I'm not saying be rigid on this. If you're in a relationship, don't go, breaking up because you need to follow your path. You need to work things through and honor the commitments you have as well. But in the ideal world, figure out who you want to be and what you want to do with your life. And then you'll attract someone who's in alignment with that, who can support you fully in that, because that's the best of all worlds, to be living your life purpose and to be loving and being a supportive relationship that nurtures that helps support that piece together and mutuality.
Do you feel, or have you sensed, that people that are going through their spiritual awakening have more issues with their relationships than, is that part of the situation that you're seeing a little bit more often now?
Well, I've been seeing it for a long time. I'd say just because I have a focus on working with couples, and more enlightened is not the right word. It's probably too grandiose, but couples that are on that path of deciding who do we want to be, that are in that path of inquiry, that want to live the examined life, do have that challenge. It is challenging to face both pieces at the same time, and yet if you have a supportive person, I taught graduate school in psychology for 10 or 12 years, and at each graduation, those who stood up and took their diplomas, their degrees, were thanking their family. It's like, I couldn't have done this without my wife, or without my husband, or without my father, or without my mother. So I think that support is really essential in getting us to that mission as well. Getting the clarity is one thing, but then we also need the support. We need internal support from ourselves, from our resources, and from the higher source as well, and we need external support from those that are on our side, our friends, our family, those that love us the most. So both are there, and if I wake up one day after I've been with someone for 20 years and say, I want to go an expedition to the North Pole tomorrow, it's a little extreme. It's something that takes some getting used to, and how can I support my partner in this? What do I want to do? That's nice, but we have a mortgage, and the kids are starting college next week, so you need to be here for a while. It's that balance.
It is a balancing. With my own marriage, I had my spiritual awakening, and he actually thought I'd join a cult or something, and asked my parents to think about getting me institutionalized because I had changed so much. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic with him, because he was so conservative and I was not. So it was an interesting dynamic, yet there was still a respect with us, and there still is, but at the same time, I grew up really quick, and in a way that he really couldn't accept. And I'm sure there's a lot of couples that get to that point that it's like there is no compromise. There's been enough compromise, and it's just best to, out of respect for each other, just to go separate ways. And it's just interesting that I'm wondering if you have noticed that the midlife crisis is about the same time that these situations occur more when they figure out, well, I really wanted to do this and I need that support. So they're coming to you to save the marriage during that midlife kind of crisis for men and women.
It happens a lot. I mean, all the cliches we have in life are cliches because there's some validity to them, and that midlife crisis is really one of them. You know, we have the midlife crisis, we have the 7-year itch, which is now like the 3-year glitch, but we're more accelerated. But the truth is, who I was at 20 is different who I am at 30, at 40, at 50, and I'm growing, and my partner is growing, and if we're together for a substantial period of time, we need to find a way to weave that growth together if we're going to stay together, or we might outgrow each other. And that's a challenge because we make this commitment to each other, and yet if we're different people, what's respectful? What's the best thing to do? You know, I've worked with couples for over 20 years, and I can't decide for them. I'm not good at deciding anyway, so it's really important to hold the space for them to decide, and to decide in a loving, respectful way, as you said. I'm good with whatever they decide. If they decide it's in a higher calling to separate, then there's a way to separate with love, to keep that space open so that their next relationship will be on that level. So it's challenging because some come in and say, well, your job is to save our relationship. And it's, no, your job is to decide what you want to do. If you decide you want to work on it, I'll join you 150% to give you everything I've got to make it work. If you're committed. If you're not committed, then we can do it another way. It's not my job to put my judgments, my values onto someone else.
Right. You're the witness, in a sense, and just holding the energy while they figure this out and give suggestions, correct?
I'm the container. There's a crucible that's there. I may turn up the heat to get them off the fence because there's nothing worse than living on the fence as well. It's really, one day I'm going to start a website, commitorgo.com. I bought the name, but it's, you know, to just force couples to decide what they want to do.
Yeah, and a lot of, I've in my life coaching and things, and just people I've met, there are so many people that they're just like in a holding pattern. They really aren't happy, but yet they don't have, you know, a better option, shall they say. So they hold on to that relationship, but yet they might have an outside relationship.
Right. And they're not true to their values.
Yeah. Or it could be the values have switches, you know, it has shifted in such a sense that, and for me, I'm seeing the relationship values are shifting a lot these days. Or the paradox of relationships is the same, but it's just being shown to me in different ways. With the online relationships and the online situations, I think it's changed a little bit of the dynamics of relationships and the communications between people. So with everything, part of your program, you do have on the phone, because you said you had callers, and then the website is very much has some free information, and then it goes into more depth.
Yes.
When they join. What are some of the articles that are part of the free part? Some of the suggestions or...
Yeah, I think the first part on that, if you go to ownyourmission.com, is I've got a special report that's called The Secret to Owning Your Mission. So it really lays out my beliefs about mission. It goes more into depth on the 4 components of mission that I've talked about: gifts and talents, values, passion, and your calling, your contribution. So you'll get that special report. You'll get any other articles that I write on that. And again, it's free in terms of that. And in addition, if you choose, I'm offering for your people a complimentary 30-minute consultation by telephone or Skype, where we can really strategize what's best for you in terms of mission, in terms of how I might be able to help you, in terms of one of our programs. And again, my mission is to use my gifts and talents to help empower and mentor others in their mission. And so I want to make this affordable too. So there's free membership, there are low fee memberships. There are many ways to work with me on that, and you'll also get a preview of the first 2 chapters of my book called Own Your Mission, which really is the basis of the whole coaching program. So I'm offering a lot. I really want to over-deliver in terms of this because people need help, and not everyone has these huge resources to go see a therapist or a coach for a long period of time. So sometimes a little bit delivered over time can be more effective for people than, a big chunk of time and resources at the same time. Plus, I like to have fun. I think part of my passion is having fun and laughing, and I think that's true in relationship. It's true in work. I mean, as a psychologist, the work I do is so serious at times that I have to laugh with my clients and couples because we need to just break up the tension. So you can discover your mission, you can live your life purpose, and you can have fun at the same time. So that's really my credo on it.
And for me, if you're not having fun, you're not on your life plan. If you're not able to laugh at yourself at the missteps or the mistakes, or as another way, instead of not mistakes, they're lessons, it does make a difference if you are able to laugh at yourself and laugh at the process. And it is a process, isn't it?
Yes, it totally is. It takes the time it takes. And there's something else. People sometimes confuse their calling with their career, with their vocation, with their avocation. And, I'm not someone who's going to make these bold promises that, if you figure out what you love, then you'll be able to do it and make tons of money. That's true for some people. Some people, that's their path to do that. For some people, your calling may be your avocation. You may have a career. You may work for a living doing something that you're not madly in love with, but it serves its purpose. You're committed to it. You're good at it, and it provides you the time and resources to pursue your passions as well. So I don't want to promise everything to everyone. I think it's important to know the difference between career and calling, and for some it's combined. I feel very fortunate because my career is my calling, but I don't want to promise that that's always true. I think it can be true, and that's what may take time to connect to.
And so, can you give an example of something that would be a calling but not a career? Can you just give an example so the listeners might have an idea?
Sure. Well, say that I'm a very giving person. I have a passion for helping the hungry and the homeless in the world, and that's a big part of my calling. So I have a job working for the city 40 hours a week at the Department of Motor Vehicles, say, and I can live my calling there too. I can help people. I can smile. I can be pleasant. I can do my thing. And then on the weekends, I'm raising money for the local soup kitchen. Or I'm going there ladling out, food and sandwiches for people, or calling friends I know seeking donations. That might be my calling. That might be a bigger passion. And yet I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not a professional fundraiser. But that's what lights me up. So the two can be connected in that way. I think the big way to tell the difference between a calling and a career, somebody told me this once, is if you won the lotto, you'd still be doing the calling. If all you had was a career, you probably wouldn't continue it. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. So, there is a lot of people, it's like sometimes your passion, your calling is something that you volunteer to do while you have a day-to-day life. I actually had a author on who wrote a book, and he works in an electric company during the day, but then he wrote this book because of the experience of really finding his true sense of what he's supposed to be doing. Very interesting story. So with everything that is out there now, it's anything's possible.
Absolutely. Go ahead. No,
I was just like there's so many ways that you can volunteer or find and work on your calling and still have that day job that you're committed to, which even though it's a day job, you might really like it.
Yeah.
There's some skill sets that might be in there that are helping your calling. So I think everything you do has a purpose.
Absolutely. I think people sometimes start to feel shame and guilt over, oh, well, I'm not doing full-time this thing. And then that's not necessarily everyone's calling. We're not all on the planet to be doing that. You can work toward that. And it's like we all admire those stories like Tom Clancy was selling insurance by day and writing his books 4 hours every night, and he had that discipline. And then the books took off with The Hunt for Red October and the rest. So there are those models, and that's a wonderful thing. And with the internet now, it's easier than ever to connect to more people and to start up businesses and purposes. And I'm all for that. I think you should put all the energy you can into it. It's just sometimes we overblow our expectations up front, and then we burn out and don't follow through on what our gifts are. It's really, it takes the time that it takes. Most instant success stories take years and years, if not decades, to get to the instant success.
Exactly. Who said that? That was a pretty famous saying from someone. And one of my favorite, I believe, is from Socrates, who said, a life is not lived if it's not explored or experienced or something. And it's just, you got to really look at all the aspects of yourself and experience life, because we are here to experience life. And it really helps you find where your passion is. So it's like I was talking with the guest about how I have different blogs, and each blog has a different voice. And when I find the voice that is really most comfortable for me, I tend to use that voice more, and I tend to have a better audience or more of an audience with it. But it's that exploration is part of the process. And I think that's what your program is helping with, is that experimentation of the process to figure out exactly what you're about.
Absolutely, you're spot on. I mean, I could have called it findyourvoice.com too. It's really, it's interesting what you say, because I have a few different blogs. I have the Passion Doctor blog, Men After 50, Own Your Mission, and I do things at other, larger places too. And I noticed that I have a professional voice that's, it's Dr. Sheck, that's, the psychologist who's doing this. I have the voice, I'm writing some things for the Good Men Project right now. It's like it's more a guy voice, so it's more rough and ready, and the languaging is probably a little less sensitive, so it's a different voice as well. And finding, sometimes the voice shifts for the audience, and sometimes we just need to find our voice that's consistent with us.
Right.
So I appreciate what you're saying. It's finding that and finding the umbrella that it all can go under.
Exactly. And I have read a lot of your different blogs, and there is a different voice on the difference. It's like a more, I would say, vulnerable voice on the man over 50. I think you're more showing your side. It's like, I can relate because this is my experience.
Yes.
Kind of voice, which is different than the other, the doctor, the Passion Doctor.
Right.
So, and it's interesting that from what I'm hearing you, it's almost like I can see those two different voices kind of merging together now with this new program.
Well, that's evolution, because this is very astute of you. Thank you. It's really, this is what I've walked the walk on this. I own this one solidly. So I can do that, and it really feels better to have my own voice. And there's a vulnerability to it. You've made it experience this. If I'm really saying what I think on this, if I'm really being full out, it's like, the Men After 50, the tagline is, it takes balls to live the second half of life. And yet, just to use that word may offend certain people that are going to say, I'm never going to read what he has to say or listen to him. So it's really finding your voice, and your audience will be drawn to it. Your audience wants that. And it's the same thing with your purpose. You find your purpose, and the support will be there. The people that are there to step up and give you a hand on this. And, we're all standing on the shoulders of giants anyway, to use that that metaphor. None of us have just started anything. There's nothing new under the sun.
So let me ask you this, and this probably will be close to the last question, but I think it's a big issue. You find your passion, you know you can do it, and then you start questioning yourself, and those little doubts come into your head. Suggestions on how to get rid of them, accept them, embrace them, push them aside, understand them.
All the above.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's true. I'm being a little facetious, but I think you need support. That's what I do. I mentor people. It's for 15 years I've been mentoring new psychotherapists into the field, and they all have that. They get the imposter syndrome, even though they've been to school and they've worked for thousands of hours. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm fake. So really, it's mentoring in whatever field. And now I mentor people in every field through Own Your Mission. But you need someone to hold your hand, metaphorically, to really hold that space to know it's okay. That's part of the process. If you didn't question your capacity, you'd probably be a raging narcissist there, and that would be a problem too. So we need support, and internally, I know I think the person you were talking to previously was a big meditation person, a mindfulness person. It's important to have some kind of mindfulness practice, to me, some meditative practice, and it doesn't have to be a fancy Eastern one in full lotus position, but some way to let your thoughts go by and realize these are just thoughts. I'm the thinker of the thoughts. I'm not my thoughts. I'm the thinker of the thoughts. And take that ownership.
And it's other forms of it is even doing some sports like golf. To me, having that focus on the ball and that stroke can be, and fishing can be very much a meditative. You're one with nature, and it really is a great way to combine joy and fun, which is what this is all about, and having that connection with that space. And even for me, making cookies sometimes, or cooking, baking, it's very much, especially kneading bread, because of the repetitive motion, is very meditative. Yeah. It's very centering. So there's different ways of handling that. With the doubts, there isn't one way to say, well, just know it's an illusion. Your fears are going to pop up, and you're just going to know it's an illusion and push through it. I think that's my biggest problem. I know what I'm supposed to do, but yet I keep getting that wall that I know once I get through it, I'm gone. I'm flying.
Right. And
but it's
we all
that
have
wall.
that. Yeah, that's the work. Trust me, as a psychologist, if no one had resistance or defenses, we would just do one session. It's like, okay, this is what you want to do. This is where you want to go from A to B. Go ahead. It's just the other piece. And as you said, being in our body is an important part of that too. I just like to walk through my neighborhood, and it clears my head and gets me into my body, and I get creative. I get my epiphanies and my ideas. And we all have doubts, and we all need to have someone to comfort us through those, as well as someone to confront us. There's the two pieces. There's the feminine piece, and we all have a masculine and feminine, so it's all there. The feminine is more the nurturing and the healing piece that says, yeah, that's right, and normalizes. You've got these fears, and I understand you've been doing this for 10 years, and now you want to do this, and it's a big change, so I get that. And then there needs to be the masculine piece that's more edgy and pushing. It's like, you're going to be dead in 20 or 30 years. It's now or never, baby. What are you going to do?
Exactly. Yeah, and go on.
We need both in terms of that. We need both pieces, and different people activate different parts of that in us. So for mission, to me, even the word mission, it's a more masculine word than purpose, so I like it. And I usually just talk about mission as opposed to your mission, his mission, her mission, my mission, because it's a verb to me. It has that action to it, just like the Road Less Traveled, he talked about love being a verb. It's an action, and I think it encompasses that we need to take action in our lives as well. Otherwise, we're just living in our heads.
Yes. And with the process, and for me, I was doing and just doing, and I was getting things done, and literally Spirit goes, you need to stop and enjoy the process and
Absolutely.
not just rush through. So it slowed things down and frustrated me because I just like to get things done. And now I'm picking up speed again. But with understanding and appreciating the process, there are so many signs and triggers that are along the way that help you with the process, that if you go too fast, you're missing it.
Absolutely. It's got to be in the timing. If there was a quick fix, I would have figured it out at this point in my life. It takes the time, and each piece is important and part of it. And as you said, the journey is the mission. Ultimately, we're here on this planet to experience, to love, to connect to others, to contribute to others, and be contributed to, because we're all in this together. That's the ultimate piece behind all of this, and we each have a unique way of expressing that.
Yes, we definitely do, and I think with the shift of energies that is going on right now, a lot more people are stopping and saying, "Okay, why am I here?" Mm-hmm. And what does give me that passion, and once you find it and it starts flowing, it's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, that's the most satisfying.
And it's just amazing how things just open up for you. And if there's even a slight little, like a door starts to slow, close on you, it's just like, okay, maybe that avenue isn't the best, so let's see what door opens. It's like when one closes, another door opens. I've always find that. So I think that really helps. And you're definitely offering an open door to help people find that mission, that path, that process that will help them ultimately feel better about themselves and build the confidence within themselves, which is so important these days, is to have that self-esteem and saying, yes, this is who I am. This is what I do, and I'm good at it. This is, even if it's something you're volunteering to do or doing on the side while you have something that's your day job, it's a beautiful way that you are helping people find that space that can really kind of own themselves, not just their mission.
Mm-hmm. Well, ultimately, that's what we're here to do, is discover more of ourselves. That's the beauty of a relationship. I discover more of myself through you, through our interactions, then I have more of myself to share. And, for every person, I can't change the world en masse, but if I can help each person that I help connect to themselves and know who they are, they're going to impact however many people they encounter in their lives, and it feeds from there. So that's our purpose to me. It's like to help other people, empower them, let them discover who they are, share that with other people who will discover who they are, and it just feeds from there.
It definitely does, and there definitely is an interconnection with everyone, and that's the thing that that I feel that people really need to understand. What you do does impact other people. You might not know it, but even walking down the street, smiling at somebody can change that person's life.
Absolutely.
So with this, I would like you to repeat all your websites again, because we're coming to the end of the hour, and I want to make sure people find you and your great programs.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you and feeling like we're kindred spirits in this. OwnYourMission.com. You can go there, become a free member. You'll get the secret to owning your mission, my special report, as well as a 30-minute consultation with me about your mission. And please take advantage of that. The more people I can talk to, the more people I can help. Even if that's all you do, it will shift your life. So OwnYourMission.com, menafter50.com. If you're a man or supporting a man, I probably have 50% of the people that go to that site are women, believe it or not. And then thepassiondoctor.com, THE, passion, DOCTOR.com. if you want some support in relationship. And I've got many blogs I've written over the years that are there too. So that's my information, Adam Sheck. I'm just so pleased to have had this opportunity.
And he is on Facebook as well.
I am on Facebook as well.
To let people know that that's actually, you wrote an article, was it Elephant Journal?
I've written for Elephant Journal, I've written for Good Men Project, but I'm on Facebook,
yes.
Facebook.com/Passion Doctor and Facebook.com/Own Your Mission. So
all of them are really great, and I thank you, Adam, so much for coming on. He does have some really, that's why I connected with him, because I loved his writing, and he had a great way of speaking to me about, I think it was relationships. So I really appreciate your writing and your programs and who you are, the work you do. So I thank you very much, Adam. It's great to have you on. Finally, we've been trying to figure out the schedule to get you on, and we finally did. Yay! Timing was perfect because you just came out with this ownyourmission.com, this program. So it's the right time for you to be on.
Absolutely. So, I appreciate it so much.
So with that, this is Jennifer Hillman saying this is a listener-supported operation at withspiritradio.com. Please, if you love the programs and what we're doing for you and getting more from it, please donate. We appreciate it. If you'd like to get in touch with me, jenniferhillman.com or angelsintuition.com are the ways to get in touch. Of course, I'm on Facebook and a few other places, so you'll connect with me somewhere. So I thank you again for another great show. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. With that,